Okay, everyone, good morning. And, and you are welcome to our Sunday morning meditation and Dhamma discussion session. We are going to have a 3 days meditation retreat in September. Bhante Dhammadipa will lead the retreat. So, he is here now. Yeah, you can join to the retreat. You can sign up for the retreat on our website, BAUS, Buddhist Association of United States. So you can sign up the retreat in September 15, 16, and 17. Let's see, we do in person also. I try to prepare joining to the retreat by Zoom. Michael, you are able. Bhante Dhammadipa is here now. He's going to lead the.
Let's talk.
Okay. So I'll try to prepare that retreat on Zoom too.
Okay.
Let's see. I will let you know later, okay? So you can come in person if you're nearby. You can come in the morning and you can leave evening. We have 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Friday we start the timing 1 p.m. to 5, and Saturday and Sunday 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Okay, Bhante Dhammadipa is here now. He's going to lead the meditation and the discussion. And Bhante, thank you so much, and you are welcome to our. Appreciate your support and the lead in the session today.
Spotlight. There we go.
What kind of meditation we are doing? So for how long are you going to sit for meditation?
Until 11.
Yeah, but do you have a break in between?
In the 11 we have a break.
Oh, 11 minute
Nice,
break.
10, 15.
All right.
45 minutes.
Okay, in this way, anyway, morning everyone. So let me see what is the technique we are going to talk about. Do Anapanasati or what?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll try the Anapanasati. So, okay, well, we're trying to do meditate on the, I would like usually translate as a meditation on the breath. So, okay, let's just follow the Pali tradition of meditate on the breath. We usually have to go through, and I guess lots of people when they start to meditate on the breath, usually they would maybe have to repeat and repeat again just to go through the first 4 steps. Okay. Let me see which one I prefer. No, because okay. You know, when you do meditation on the breath, it's always divided into 2 systems. One system is I can just illuminate the system, the steps, something we translate as a phase, because steps, it's referred to once you go there, you don't go back, right? So phases is maybe a best translation. The original term in Pali is called akara, okay? But one is called manasikara, one is called akara. Now let's say that when you say that one system is called, you start with the counting the breath, that we use a term called manasikara, means paying attention to the breath. And then after that, you could just start to move on, paying attention to the in-breath and out-breath around your nostrils. And then you move on to paying attention to, you find there's a touching point, there's a tactile sensation from your breath. It could be around your nostril, it could be just below your nostril. Usually, we ask you to observe below your nose straight to the upper lips, this part. But you can find any point. You can put it. You can notice the tactile sensation on the top of the nose. But usually we don't do that. I mean the reason why I think it's difficult. It's not difficult. It's easier for you. It's below here because we could much more easier to feel the breath around the nose straight. And then say that you feel there's like a wind that touch upon here, and while you're doing exhalation, while you're doing inhalation, the touch upon here, touch upon here, touch upon here. This is what we call the third paying attention, manasikara, meaning that you just pay attention on that there's a breath touch upon any spot. And the fourth step, or the fourth manasikara, the fourth pay attention, is that you just establish your focus on just a spot. So that's one system. But maybe I will explain this system more because this is simplified. Traditionally, we think this is much easier. But for those people who used to do yoga, and especially given that in the Buddha's time, a lot of people they've been practice meditation, meditation for a long time already. I suspect that's why the Buddha using the second one. Also, the system is that for people who used to practice this like that. So first, you have the same thing that you definitely need to know there's in-breath and out-breath taking place. And then when you come to the first akara, they use the term now. They don't use the term paying attention, but use akara. But anyway, you could say the object of meditation. But this object of meditation is always in a moving way. That's why akara means something to do with the. It's something with it's not a static kind of form, but it's more like a moving form. So there's in-breath and out-breath. Then after that, you will start to have the first step or first phase, that is the phase of that, there's a long breath. And then later on, there's a short breath. And that's the second phase for the short breath. And the third phase is then the whole of the breath. That means the beginning of the breath, the middle, the end, the beginning, the middle, the end. So that's the third phases. In other words, you have to know the breath, not just around the nose straight, in order to find the touching point as the first system I mentioned before. But you have to know the breath in the whole body, like in breath in the whole body, out breath in the whole body, in breath in the whole body.
Hello, what's happening?
So out breath. Hello. Yes. Out breath in the whole body. So. And only when you clearly finish the long breath, that means comprehend the long breath, comprehend there's a long breath, short breath taking place, and then the whole of the breath, that means the beginning, the middle, the end, while doing the exhalation, the beginning, the middle, the end. Then you learn how to subdue the breath, become more lighter and lighter, almost like you don't feel your breathing. But once you have that experience, you almost like you don't feel your breathing. Of course, you feel so much calm. You become very calm. Even bodily, you feel very soft, very calm. The same as the breath become very calm, almost like nothing happened. You still have to pay attention, observing that. You still have to observing of the breath, like make that more. In other words, you just when there's no breath taking place, you have to understand definitely you're not dead. You're still alive, and you have to wait until you can observe the breath again back to you. But usually the breaths become very, very subtle. So that is the two systems. But both systems actually they work in the same purpose, because if you could just say that the first system, if you could just observe the breath like just a spot there, your mind just staying with the spot. Then you still know you're in breath and out breath, but your mind will just can focus on one of the spot, the place that where you, on the third paying attention, that the tactile sensation comes from the breath. So you stay with that. So supposedly you start to develop your samadhi, your concentration, what we call samadhi. But if you're doing the other system, you have to wait until you know the long whole of the breath. The whole of the breath, after knowing the whole of the breath, you're able to really calm the whole of the breath, and then the samadhi will arise. both samadhi. In Pali language, we call this called the upajjhara samadhi. Okay, that is mean the access concentration that you will develop. So, all right, why don't we just try a little bit? Even though I like to divide it in this way. Usually, a lot of people in the West, especially, when they learn meditation, they have a tendency to think, oh, meditation is relaxed. I feel relaxed. I feel good. I feel nice in the body. I feel more healthy. I feel my mind is calm. That is good. But that is, if I like to divide it or analyze it, that is more like a relaxation kind of process, you see. But that is not the whole purpose of Buddhism. But I have to say sometimes, even though Buddhism know that this is not the whole purpose of Buddhism, but sometimes the Buddhism also ignore this part also. And when I say ignore, then that's why there's another problem comes up for people, like people who might be follow Buddhist tradition. They always chasing after the afterward. Oh, where's my samadhi? Where's my samadhi? My samadhi is not there. So then it becomes stressful in the meditation. So I can understand that's a problem. That's why. But I still need to say, relaxation is just only the beginning part. But actually, after doing the relaxation, so I mean that's what I usually think. Some people, when they learn meditation traditionally, if they learn meditation, they need to pay more attention on the relaxation part. That means that through the breath meditation, you can learn how to relax, and that is have to be that's definitely is very important. But then the problem of the West in general, the meditation, they will always think the relaxation is just the only part of meditation. That definitely is not. Otherwise, you don't have to come from a Buddhist tradition to learn meditation. Because it's just on relaxation. Because for relaxation, you can do many different kind of relaxation meditation. So actually, you have to be able to develop the samadhi. That's very important because develop the samadhi, it fulfills there's a certain kind of religious reason also, and it's only because you have a samadhi, your defilements, your worry, what we call the defilements means something. Let's say our jealousy, our hatred, our stubbornness, our blah blah blah, lots of kind of thing might be still within our mind. We will by developing the samadhi, all these kind of things will dispel, will be kind of cast away. When those cast away, you will have experience to understand, oh, how wonderful is that would be that when those things can be cast away. So okay, in that way, so I will lead the meditation now, but I would like to divide into two parts. One is how you meditate so that you can relax, and the other part is that, just like I mentioned, you should follow step by steps. If you can, follow step by step so that if you, one day, not now, not necessarily this time, then you might be reached, take some experience of samadhi. Then you will know how important, then you will know, you can test, you can experience exactly how it is. I saw this, is it a question? Okay, somebody type the manasikara for me. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I can type another, because this is not my computer, I hope that. One is akara, I put 2A, it refers to a long vowel. Yeah. Okay, now we just start for the relaxation part first. So we definitely need to keep our body upright if you can, but if you can not to lean, then you lean, but if you feel your back is pain, that's fine. Otherwise, because the more that you lean more, you usually get more pain because that part might become inflammatory, when your muscle become more harder and you always, just like people, let's say they lie on the bed for a long time, especially when people got ill and they cannot move. So that's why that part, the body part will become harder and then it's become more problem. So when you can sit without leaning against anything to support your body, that's the best, one of the best way to really relax your muscle. But maybe you feel a little uncomfortable. That's just like when you start to do exercise. So it happens. So okay, and now we need to adjust our sitting posture. So just it's very important you sit comfortable. So even though you are not sitting on the floor, so you don't have to, you just bend your leg if you sit on the floor. You don't have to be full lotus or half lotus, but just sit, okay, comfortable. And the second is that you have to keep yourself tucking your belly, and then you have to kind of like pull the lower, there's the anus part you need to pull up, so that's how you'll build up a certain muscle on that area that will help you to sit more straight up. Then that's the second part. The third part, we have to deliberately, I would say, or be aware whether your shoulder drops. Because if you always tilt your shoulder, I mean your intention. So you definitely need your shoulder drops. And then your arms also, whatever position you want to put your arms is fine, but the most important thing is you feel your elbows drops. Okay. And then tucking your chin a little bit. Tuck your chin a little bit. Or you can just pull your nose back like that. Tuck your chin. Maybe you feel your neck a little stiff. Don't worry. When you meditate later on, it just softens up by itself. And that's the fifth one. The sixth one, close your mouth. Lightly clench your teeth. If you could, press your tongue against the palate. That's the way, even in Indian philosophy also, the medical in old days, they still believe that if you put that tongue against your palate, it helps you to make the kind of like a energy flow. And the last is that you keep your head upright. Then before we start meditate, especially if a beginner, so you certainly good check whether you did relax your muscle. So look at the whole head. Any part you feel something, you only just do one thing, just ask them to relax. And then let go. Don't stay there. Okay? And then now, let's say you look at the whole neck, the front, left side, right side, back side, your throat. Just relax them. And then let go of it. Let your shoulder really drops without any reserve. And then relax them, and also relax the whole arms, even up to your fingers. And you relax your body, the trunk, the chest, abdomen, upper back, lower back, left and right side of your body. The lower back is very important, relax them, even the abdomen as well. Abdomen, relax them. Now relax below your waist, any part of it, your thigh, just like your thigh, your knee, your shank, your feet and your toes. Usually after relaxation, you feel there's an in-breath, there's out-breath taking place. In-breath and out-breath taking place. So it could be, might start to feel is from your chest movement or abdomen movement, or you simply just not aware there's a breath taking place. That you know you have inhalation, exhalation. It doesn't matter whether you could feel the wind, like a wind coming your duct, that means your nose straight, coming in or going out, but you just know you're breathing. Take that as a kind of relaxation part. That you feel relaxed and feel there's a movement of the breath in, movement of the breath out. Please, without using any language, I have to say it in a language, but when you experience those things, you just experience it. You don't use language, this in, that's out. Or I'm using English, or I'm using Chinese, I'm using Sinhalese, or I'm using French, whatever. No, just experience it. You know something is going on, like this, like that, like this, like that. Sometimes it could be a little quicker, sometimes it can be a little slower. Maybe sometimes you feel there's a little warmer, colder. I would suggest you not to do that unless you are doing Vipassana. That means the analytical meditation or insight meditation. We are not doing the insight meditation now. We are doing the concentration meditation. So you don't have to know there's a warm or cold. You only just have to know it's quick or slow, it's long or short, or simply just know it's in and out. I need to repeat again. You just simply know it's in and out. Sometimes you maybe know it's long breath or faster breath. That's all you need to know. And the more relaxed you could do, the better you are. In other words, mean you know it, but don't pay really hard attention. You just simply like very relaxed. You're aware of it. You're aware of this called mindfulness. You mindfully know there's an in-breath. Mindfully know there's out-breath. But later now, you need to make sure you have relaxed. Okay? There are so many different ways of relaxation, but I definitely think the easier way. First, you just relax the whole body, and then you observe your breath. Do not force yourself that much. Just simply know I want to aware the breath. Now, I like to, because since I don't have time, I like to explain the first system. But if you are used to do yoga, you could just follow the second system I just mentioned before. So if you find your mind have still a lot of distraction going on, so why don't we just just try a little counting. Even though you don't have, I will ask you to experience that first. Now let's just do one breath, two breaths, or three breaths if you like, one count. So let's just simply say one breath, one count. So breathing, you know there's one. Breathe out, there's two. Breathe in, there's three. Breathe out, there's four. And then you count until 10. Then you make a note, understand you finish one round. And do that again. So you do 2 rounds, 3 rounds. In the meantime, maybe you forget sometime, doesn't matter. At least you know you finished 2 rounds, you can start to count again. And then 3 rounds, 4 rounds. Once you do the 5th round, why don't we try? I will remind you. Let me just do the 5th round first, I'll remind you. Let me just guide you, just like I'm guiding you as a mentor to guide you to learn how to drive a car at the beginning. Okay, at least I myself finished a fifth round. Now, you can also try right now, maybe you can try later on. That is, you abandon this counting because the counting helping you just associate yourself with the counting in according, in connection to the breath. Now you can abandon the counting. Now you just simply see whether you could aware just around your nose straight, you could feel something, more or less. Feel something about something in your nose straight, something out your nose straight. That, of course, that means the breath in your out straight, your nose straight, and the out breath taking place from around your out nose straights. Try to be more relaxed. Don't force your breath. Let it become more natural, the better you are. Usually the better when you do the breath meditation, the breath become more subtle. It means actually you are in a better form of meditation. It becomes very light, the breath becomes lighter and lighter. But you don't change it, okay? It has to let it be natural. So you're aware there's an in-breath taking place around your nose straight, out-breath taking place around your nose straights. And be more relaxed. If you find you have lots of distractions still come to you, you can learn how to ignore it. It's pretty natural, and there's nothing wrong with distraction. It's a natural thing. You can just back to aware the in-breath and out-breath. However, if you want to, you could also go back to previous step and you can do a little counting. But you can say, do it like 2 breaths, 1 count, like in-breath, out-breath, 1, in-breath, out-breath, 2, like that. Or you can still do 1 breath, 1 count, or 3 breath, 1 count, and so on. The purpose of doing the counting at this stage, just to help you to make yourself connected yourself to the breath by having some of the other thing, that means the number, so that your mind is not tend to be distracted. Here, the definition of distraction is not that your thought is bad. It's just only it's not your purpose. So that's why it's distracted. Because now your purpose is want your mind to be control your mind, that you could focus on the breath. Once you find that you could manage a little bit, back to know the in-breath and out-breath. So experiencing the in-breath and out-breath, not for the whole body, because you have practiced the first system, not the second system. But if you're still doing the second system, it's fine, then the whole body. But you're doing the first system, you're just aware around the in and out breath around your nostrils. It doesn't matter, whether you still feel the wind in your nostril or out your nostril. But first, you just know simply your idea, or there's a certain perception there that you know there's in, there's out. That means there's something taking place. You usually feel more relaxed. Your mind becomes more calm. You have to understand every time when you observe the very moment you observe the breath, it makes you feel calm and less distracted. Now repeat again, that's the main point. When you learn something, you need to catch the main point. That is why in breath, out breath, the very moment, if you could just observe the breath, it makes you feel calmer, it makes you less distracted. You need to build up this kind of faith in your heart. Imagine that you are in a certain situation. You can move your body You cannot do anything, but you only just knowing your existence. And then the very moment, the very essential existence that you know, beside your thought is still there. Another thing is your breath. When you get panic, you suffer. When you have too much wondering, you suffer. So you just simply keep your faith, your mind on your breath. Relaxingly just knowing there's an in-breath, there's a breath going this way called in-breath, there's a breath going that way called out-breath. You don't have to use a language, just know there's a breath. Like this, like that, like this, like that. And then if you can, you just let yourself see whether you feel there's some tactile sensation arise. You need to pay attention and check whether that's there. Just like when you're driving a car, I said, okay, you drive, keep on driving. If you see there's a sign about road 63, then you need to turn. The same thing. After some time, you have to kind of like aware, check, could I feel any tactile sensation from the breath that on top of my upper lip, on below my nose, between between the upper lip and the nose. Could you feel while your breath taken out, you feel something like breath against your skin? On that, on top of it, you feel the breath again, there's a spot that in breath there's a touching there, while doing out breath there's a touching there, or sometimes in breath there's a touching, out breath no, or sometimes out breath there's touching, in breath there's no, even sometimes it doesn't exist, but you still look for that. Just like you're driving a car, you should look for the sign. Where's the sign? Is there a sign that I need to turn now? But if you somehow feel there's something similar to the touching, maybe like that, then even though by knowing in breath and out breath, try to check there time to time whether there's a spot. You could feel the wind press against the skin, that it become a touching point. Sometimes you can do a little bit of cheating, just a little bit, okay? That you force your breath a little bit. If you feel it, maybe yes, just a little bit. Make the breath a little harder, just a little bit. Don't do that often. It's just to make sure, maybe that's the one. And then you need to remember, don't cheat all the time. So kind of like give you a tip, but you don't do that all the time. You need to then relax. That maybe that's the focus point you need to pay attention. We have actually 1 minute to go. But as I said, it's very important. Meditation is have to do with the relaxation. If you feel, oh, okay, my attention is too much, that means you force yourself too much. Then back to just know in breath and out breath, or even just back to your counting, or just back to you just know I'm sitting now. Just like everything you have your manner. Sitting, have the sitting manner. I'm sitting with a good manner, good posture, relaxing. This is called the sitting meditation. When you do walking, you have the walking manner. You have to know this is how I walk. Sometimes you don't have to pay attention too much how my walking, how my footstep, and how my mindfulness. It doesn't matter. Sometimes you just know I walk. Same thing. You need to back to this relaxation. You sit. Sitting means you have a good posture, the posture you like, and everybody like it too. And also, most importantly, you sit and relax. But if you do aware the breath, aware it. If you want to count the breath, count it. You want to find a touching point, find it. So when you hear the bell running, it's just an indication to tell you we could end of this section. So you need to have a good good attitude or good habit. So when you end, usually, let's say you are doing finding a touching point. You don't have to do that more, but you have to still back to you're breathing in, you're breathing out. It's almost like breathing, breathe out as a base. Just like you do any kind of game or whatever you're doing, you need to back to that, how you early start, the starting point. So back, just know you're breathing. Relaxingly, you're breathing in, you're breathing out. So I usually run the second bell, it's just an indication. Even though we finish our breath meditation, but we still have to aware our physical body. So do I relax the physical body? And since I'm doing not on the standing meditation, not on the walking meditation, but on the sitting, how's my sitting posture? Is that the posture the way that I like? Same thing, most importantly, did I relax whole my body? If it not, it's just because we never train, well. But so now relax it. So at least every time when you finish meditation, you still have to check on whether you have relaxed it or not. And also, if you don't, relax them now. The third is about the opening the eyes. It's very important. If we do meditation, sometimes we can open the eyes to do meditation, but that's not for beginner usually because you get distracted more. But the third thing, I run the bell, then you can slowly open your eyes. But as I say, the word slowly means slowly. Don't open your eye like you're being get shocked, like got shocked, like you get scared. But you need to really, really slow open your eye. That is a part of requirement. Just like when you wake up, let's say that you wake up because you get the alarm clock to wake you up, you get shocked. So it disturbs your mind a little bit. But if you can wake up mindfully, so you just slowly open your eyes. You usually feel that the after effect is even better. Okay. All right, so for this meditation section, so it's end. So you can ask a question when we come back. What time you come back here?
Just 5 minutes.
Yeah, in 5 minutes time. So if you have any question, you can ask after 5 minutes. So that's good for me. I can have some water to drink as well. Okay, thank you so much. I will see you in 5 minutes time then. Yeah, thank you. Sadhu.
Yeah, prepare some tea.
Just, yeah. No, water is okay. It's too late for tea.
Okay.
Are you doing okay? Will you have a friend in Maryland also? No. Yeah, I used to be here. Do you know that? No. Sixth time here. A second time, I think. Okay.
But my first time I ever saw you over there.
Yeah, why not? Yeah, but you best to ask the supporter. Yeah, because there was anyway, because I used to be here. There was I left here 2016, so now I live in Maryland now. So yeah, but I'm still the vice president of this organization, this organization. But I just don't stay here anymore. Don't run any activities here. So, but the in charge is supporter in the temple here. So I'm sure that you could, but it's best to ask him because he's here. I'm not here. Yes.
Where you are now, Vipa?
I'm in the Maryland.
Maryland.
Maryland,
No more.
so.
It's no more in Carmel.
No. I only go there if there's a meeting only. So I just don't in charge of any any administration job. Just being just
Still going over.
yeah. I'm just a trustee as a vice president of the Buddhist
I
Association.
remember you very well over there.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah. So how about you? Where do you based?
Very good.
Okay. I mean, where do you based? Where do you live?
I live now in Florida.
In Florida. Oh.
Yeah. But I used to live in close to Carmel.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's why I saw you a few times. I mean, in Carmel.
Yes, quite
yeah.
a few times. Yes, I remember when you arrived over there in the 212.
Yeah, 212. Okay.
Oh, yes. I remember that.
Okay, thank you. What is the talk I'm going to give? Why is it too cold?
Yeah, just keep this one.
Okay. Somebody think it's too cold. It's too cold for you? Maybe I put on so many so I feel it's very warm. So the pamphlet that I showed to you is our new meditation center.
You're no longer in the church.
Huh?
You used to be in the church.
No.
Well, I was told when you first went down, it was you.
Yeah, I know, but that is the old building. We
Right.
then
So
bought
you
the
have a
new.
building.
No, that we bought the new land,
Excellent.
and that's what we built. It was a house, and then we built the meditation center, and then we also built one of the lodging place for people doing like a long retreat. And then there's another building is for the monastic member to stay. So we all totally three
You've done
buildings.
a lot.
Huh?
You've done a lot.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
guess
you've
so.
established.
Yeah.
How many people come? 20, 50, 100?
I mean, usually retreat is about well that retreat, the place for meditation. We don't want to do a big one, but it's about 50 people.
That's good.
Yeah, but we have the building is one part is for sitting, one part is for walking, and then we have another. That next building, and next building is for the exhibition. So people like performing arts or whatever. So we can.
Congratulations. You expand Buddhism.
But we did that in the last minute because I just finished. I'm a trustee of Parliament of World's Religion, so we just finished a conference in Chicago. So we may have about 8,000 people attend. So for 5 days. So anyway, so that's why yesterday I arrived here because when the conference finished, so I have something to do in New York here. That's why I come down here.
How is
And
Buddhism
then-
in Chicago?
For
Especially Black Panthers.
Texas.
No, it's not about Buddha. I mean, that is a all religious conference. That's maybe it's passed already. Otherwise, I definitely encourage you should go. We usually run the conference maybe every 4 years in different places. So, and it's a good chance for you to meet different religions together.
Did you meet the president?
Who?
You.
Who's president?
I had heard that you went to Washington.
Yeah, not the president. That's the what do you call? No, in the West Side there is the vice president husband. What you call? I mean, there's a term to call that. I cannot remember in English now. So, yeah, it's to celebrate the West Side. I mean, there's a little problem because in the past, when the Buddhist doesn't mind, Buddhists are always, even last time I gave a talk in the parliament a few days ago, I said they were asking one question. I mean, like, that's one of the panel was asking about the religious, how you define the cross line, the borderline of the religious. Like, you learn something from our religion, but what is the borderline there? And what is appropriation? Sometimes religious have to do with the culture. They appropriate because you come to a certain country, or when the religious, like Buddhists, come to China or other place, they mingle with the culture. What is that appropriation? So, and I tell them that one of the appropriation, I think from a Buddhist, we have to become more creative, more progressive. Because usually the Buddhist is, even in Chinese language or in Japanese language, sometimes the new term called 佛系 mean the Buddha system. Actually, that is not a very good term in Japanese. The word Buddha system refer to that nowadays the teenager, the new kid, if they say, "Oh, I'm the one who follow the Buddha system," that in Chinese called 佛系, or in Japanese, I don't know how to pronounce it in Japanese, but it means you are lazy. You don't want to do anything. You just don't want to do anything, like, oh, everything is relaxed and everything is fine. Yeah, it's very popular term nowadays. So I said, if there's a appropriation of the, for Buddhism, appropriation, what we have adopt ourselves to other religion is something, if being a Jewish or being a Christian or being a Muslim, for example, they never say we are not Muslim. They never. They always tell, I'm a Muslim, I'm a Muslim, I'm a Christian, I'm a Christian, I'm a Jewish. And like, but a Buddhist, are you a Buddhist? No. Some even afraid to say that.
But doesn't the Buddha say that the only place you can find proper people is in the circle?
No, that's what I'm saying. That's in Asia, maybe not in America, because in Asia, the thing
Well,
is,
America has one bad, excuse me, America has one bad weakness. They seem to thin things down here. The Catholics, like, the Catholic goes to church every Sunday, but yet they have abortion, and they drink whiskey, and
No, I'm not talking about ethical part. I'm talking about that, we now live in a globalization world. So you definitely have to, you somehow, because of, let's say we come to America, I myself wasn't born in America. I do change also. right? I do change because American will change you. That land itself will change you. Language itself will change you. So what kind of thing that as being I'm a monk, a Buddhist monk, being changed, then I said the way that I've been changed, I become more, you could say aggressive also, more progress. The good term may be more proactive, you know. Like, you know, nowadays people tell me, oh, they want to introduce a Christian to me. I would say, come on, I'm a Buddhist. Don't talk that to me. I can say that way now. In the past, we don't. We just say, oh, yes, very nice. Yes, you know, that's a Buddhist, that everybody thinks, expect the Buddhist attitude. But then, you know, they don't expect the Buddhist attitude to become more aggressive, more, you know, no, I don't like to listen to you. I'm a Buddhist, you know, but, you know, I guess that's changed me. I do that now. Sometimes when people talk too much to me, I say, don't you know I'm a monk now? Why you want to talk that to me? So,
Sometimes my friends.
in the past, that's not our education tell us. As a monk, you just be humble. That's what I mean by appropriation, you say.
So
Yeah.
progressiveness means you're more outgoing?
No, I say that it's because this is interfaith dialogue. The interfaith dialogue is being, let's say the Muslim will say, oh, we always wear the scarf, you know, all this, I forgot, what is his name? So people hate me to wear this, you know, but they say this is my religion, so I wear that.
Do
So,
you explain yourself?
huh?
Do we explain ourselves to other people?
No, I'm saying that in the Asia, generally as a
Oh,
Buddhist,
Asia.
that I say the appropriation means in the come to the West. In Asia, we usually are very mellow. But you know, but you meet the people of other religion, they are not that. They always very clearly tell who they are. Anyway, we should stop this topic. We're back to this now. Sorry about that. So firstly about this breath meditation, do you have any question? Please ask question, then I don't have to talk too much later. Any question? Even here or even online? Very quiet. Still doing the breath meditation now. Yes, Michael, you have any question?
I wanted to ask about the non-verbal part. I think it's really important, and I think it's crucial that we don't use language. We just observe without language, and that of course opens up an entire discussion about, not a Buddhist discussion, but another kind of linguistic discussion about what constitutes the human mind. Can we be intelligent without language? You know, and it's very interesting. But I wanted to ask, because very often meditation instructors don't say that. They don't share the idea of not using language. We see in the sutta, for example, you know, now he knows he is taking an in-breath. But this is not to be confused with that being the meditation technique. We're being told to be aware of it. We're not being told to repeat that sentence. So it's good that you did that, I think, because we hear that so seldom.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, yeah, because I guess I aware that it's also partly because when I taught in the past, some of the students asked me to say, when I know, let's say, why the inhalation taking place, but they speak kind of like, you know, with the language they know, it's like, oh, this is Excel. So they find contradictory sometimes. So that's, but then that helped me to aware. I need to, you know, say, no, you don't have to really. You try not to use the language, basically. Yeah. But I mean, language is just a logical way of thinking. So, and then it combined with the sound, right? So here, I guess, when I say the logical thinking, I mean the language maybe more deeply refer to the logical thinking of the language. So let's say you could speak any language while you're doing exhalation, like, like you could say exhalation or out breath, or even they say some other language, like French or what, right? But that's just something that you're familiar with because you know what they refer to. But it's a logical thinking that you know is something to do with the out breath. But that is not, even though you might just know this out breath clearly, like you say, it's just experience it, that something coming out, something called out breath. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So may we say that just experiencing the breath and being aware of it is, in a sense, a unity? It's a unity, whereas when we use language, it becomes a dichotomy.
It's a
So
good,
language
yeah,
becomes-
but I want to back to the Pali, why this stage, they only using the term in Pajanati, mean that he knows. So it just simply kind of like maybe the bear just knows you have out breath, or that means the breath doing this way, or the breath doing that way. But when we use the term experiencing, we do have the word patisamvedati, or samvedati. It refers to the third steps, the third phase, means you're experiencing the whole breath. So it looks like in Pali, maybe when they put that in the third step, trying to explain that you have much more rich experience because it's not just in and out breath, but it's not just short and long breath, but it's more like the whole of the breath you're experiencing it. Mm. So then we use experience. I know, but this is about translation, but English is not my first language, actually. So I just want to say is maybe it's a kind of the experience something more rich because it's the whole of the breath that you're experiencing it. So according to the second system, once you have the experience in the whole of the breath, only after that, only you comprehend it, you experience in the whole of the breath so handy and so easily, and then you start to subdue the breath to make the breath become more subtle, maybe become more subtle, become more light and more light. And I believe that when it becomes more light and more light, you will come to a stage that the breath will disappear, but then you still have to wait until the breath come back to you. When I say come back, it doesn't mean you're not breathing, it's just your awareness. In other words, your awareness become more subtle as well, become more sharp, so that you could aware, even though the breath is become so subtle that you still can aware the breath, in breath and out breath, take all the whole of the breath taking place there. And then that samadhi, that concentration, is been established by that itself. So it's a very good system, and that's one of the reasons why I always like the Buddha's teaching. I've been also learning teachings. Even this time, when I went to a parliament, they have this Jainism teaching. If you learn the history, the Jainism and the Buddhism are almost the same period. I won't say almost, actually, it's the same period of the time. So, but then even though the Jainism is population in India is very slow, maybe 0.2 or maybe less than 1% of Jain, but they are the most richest people in India also. And then I also went to meditate because I want to see how they do their meditation. So, but I want to say this, yeah, they are good, all are good, but I like the Buddhist way. Certainly they have a lot of more profound system there and more deeper thing. But if I have time, I will share more to you. Like after this concentration, you still can develop this breath meditation to the vipassana as well, how you do it. They have a very systematical way. So when I say systematical, it's not mean that you have to practice meditation, have to go through that. But as a beginner, just like when you learn driving, you definitely, let's say you want to come to the Temple of Enlightenment, you must, if the people can instruct you how you should drive from this direction, how you go, right? Then you can reach to the place. So then you experience, from here you need to drive this, from there you need to turn right, from there, then you will reach to the Temple of Enlightenment. That's a quicker. So after that, any way that you can come to the Temple of Enlightenment, that serves the purpose. Okay, so any other question, that would be great. And then if, I don't know, I'm soon don't know what I'm going to talk later. So. Any question here? No. Okay. What I need to say about? What do you like? What do you like me to talk about Buddhism?
Anyone suggest anything to
I have an interest, but maybe it's not appropriate for this setting. But I would love to hear about your bringing together of, say, more of your Chinese background in the Dhamma into the other, let's say, Sri Lankan tradition or whatever. Obviously, you're kind of, this seems to be happening today, and I would guess you're very knowledgeable about this melding of the different versions of the Dhamma and the different Buddhist cultures. I would just, anything you could say about that would be really interesting to me.
Okay. It's a big topic, but I will try. Well, okay. Firstly, when you say about the Chinese Buddhism, it's in terms of religions, like a ritual, or as an institution, or the Chinese Buddhism in terms of the philosophy are quite different thing. And also, it's also about, now back to this, like in appropriation, like when the Buddhism transmitted to China, definitely also highly involved the Chinese, so-called the Chinese philosophy, or their kind of Confucian, or a little bit mix of Taoism. Yeah, I just say a few things about that. So I like to divide in the Chinese Buddhism, maybe even Sri Lankan Buddhism or Thai Buddhism is a similar thing. That sometimes it's very hard for people to understand the Buddhism in terms of their culture, in terms of the teachings, or in terms of the ritual. Now, say about in Chinese that a lot of people think about Chinese Buddhism as a whole. I never think it that way, because another thing is that because what does it mean by Chinese also is a big topic also. China is very big. It's almost like you can debate what is meant by American people, and then the South American people, the New York American people, and then the West Coast, America definitely disagree each other many things, like the same thing. But I will just give you in a gist. General Chinese Buddhism, I think, is highly influenced by the Taoism, the Confucianism especially. I don't agree with that many things, because usually in the Chinese Buddhism area, they explain about how a family life is, how one should be, treat their family, treat the country. I think it's not a Buddhist concept, but it's more like a Confucian to me. But in Chinese Buddhism in general, they don't aware that. Even now, I don't want to mention the name, it's not polite to mention their name. Like, such a big Buddhist organization, their philosophy, they talk a lot of ethical thing, and I don't think it's a Buddhist ethic. It's a very Confucian to me, because I also learned a lot of Confucian when I was young, So that helped me to separate that, because I went to Sri Lanka. Because when I lived in Sri Lanka almost 10 years. Because I live in Sri Lanka, I don't mean that Sri Lanka totally as a Buddhist. They also have their own culture thing. But at the same time, at least I know it's very different from the way I understand Buddhism. So that's why I started to question what is really the Buddhist message is about the ethical, like even how to treat the family and so forth. The Sri Lanka concept and the Chinese concept are so different. And then, there are a lot of similarity as well, but there are some other very difference between the thing, a lot of things. And that's how I started to more aware, there's a difference. Okay, and the other thing is about the religious or the ritual. The ritual is very different. And then I later found out, like say the Chinese Buddhism, you certainly need to offer the incense, because if you go to temple, you don't offer the incense. It doesn't reflect, it's almost like, for normal people to reflect one thing, when you see the monk, they thought that every morning we have to put the incense. If the monk don't put the incense in the temple or in the place they think that you're a bad monk, okay? And the second thing is that the monk has to do chanting, must be chant a lot, chanting. And then if you do chanting, they think you're a bad monk. So that's why When I remember when I go any other country, say I used to live in France, I live in some other part, these people they treat me very nice, but they always curious to ask one question. They say, "Oh, Venerable, what kind of sutta you are chanting?" I say, "I don't do chanting." They thought I'm a bad monk, and they thought I must be something wrong. I say, "I only do meditation. I don't do chanting." So that's culturally, because in Chinese Buddhism nowadays, except the Zen, I'm going to explain that a little bit more later. But they think that a monk has to do chanting. I mean, you must be at least pick up a text, maybe the Diamond Sutra, maybe the Amitabha Sutra, whatever sutra, though you must be something you love to chant. And unfortunately, it's also because of that. So people would always identify you, whether they want to follow you or not. Let's say if I love to chant Amitabha Sutta, but if they find they used to chant Amitabha Sutta, but you don't chant Amitabha Sutta, then they will start to know, oh, we are different. So you are not my cup of tea. You know, you are not the monk that I like to follow. So that is one of the huge thing difference. Maybe especially for Westerner, you know, when I say in America, they don't know that actually that chanting become the huge part in the Chinese Buddhism. Yeah, there's a very small part of people, monk, I'm talking about monastic even, that do meditation. And that they call it Zen meditation. But the Zen meditation, there were few different things that very distinctly different from the Theravada, the Sharanka, the Theravada way of meditate. That is that they highly emphasize on two things. One thing is that you must learn to do meditation without any thought comes along. I mean, no thought. Almost like, but how you explain about no thought is a big story, because since today I'm not going to explain that, but if in the future I can explain why they say that. That's one thing. But the problem is that when I say problem, I'm not saying that the method is wrong. The method is wonderful as well. But it's because of that kind of impression about the no thought. There's a tea. You're going to offer me the tea to drink? I couldn't see the whole thing. Sorry, Michael, you can say that later.
I'm holding up the Chan practice of silent illumination.
Okay.
The method of no method. I think that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's like Wu Xin. Usually they use the term in Chinese. Wu Xin means no mind. So you have no thought comes along. But then because of that kind of technique, it becomes, the word is so popular. If you say that when you teach meditation in Theravada, say, oh, you should follow the in-breath, out-breath, this breath, that breath. Maybe their sight can appear to you. Maybe later on you have this and that. They don't like it. They think this is wrong. So this is always have a debate, even in Taiwan. Because I used to give talk in one of the distinguished Zen university, developed by the Zen master. Oh, he was abbot here in Temple of Enlightenment. So he was an abbot here, but anyway, he left after 2 years, so back to Taiwan. Then he became one of the most famous master of Zen in Taiwan. I used to go to teach, even still now I have a close association with them. When I say debate, we are not hate each other. You know, it's a friendly way. We have a lot of discussion. So, and they because of that, unfortunately, when I say unfortunately, because a lot of people just learn from impression, right? The impression is, oh, you talk about meditation with this, with that. No, this must be bad meditation. So that is the one other thing, very different. They really emphasize on when you meditate that there's no mind exist. There's no thought comes along, you see. And the other thing is that they believe that the Zen meditation is more for the very talented people. What talented means they could meditate and then they can get the sudden enlightenment because by using only some very simple phrase. For example, they keep on telling ourselves like, you know, before I was born, who I am. Before I was born, who I am, you know. Or you could just also contemplate, you know, who is chanting the name of the Amitabha Buddha, because because chanting the Amitabha name is so popular in Chinese Buddhism. So for the meditator, a Zen meditator had to reflect who is the person chanting the Amitabha Buddha. In other words, actually that's a kind of way you cast a doubt about who I am in order to realize there's no I, of course, no self. So it is the Zen meditation way. But as a phenomena, I mean, usually still now, even though the philosophical, actually, the Chinese Buddhism are like that, but Chinese Buddhism is very rich in many different things. Because in terms of the philosophy in Chinese Buddhist texts, since 2nd century, we translate every text into Chinese. So you have the text about the so-called Theravada text, similar to Theravada text, translate into Chinese. It usually from different language, maybe Sanskrit or some other language, even some from Pali, that's for sure. We know that for scholarly study. So, and then we have in Chinese now, but some of them, when I say from Pali, it's not necessarily the Sri Lanka nowadays that belong to Mahavihara school, but it could be like Abhayagiri school. We definitely know that the monk who live in Abhayagiri school in Sri Lanka, and then like Vimuttimagga is come from Abhayagiri school, and then also one of the Vinaya texts called Samantabhasatika is also from Sri Lanka, from Abhayagiri school, and then been translated into Chinese. But then those schools been destroyed in Sri Lanka already. So we at least for sure that we have two texts from different language. We don't know whether it's Sanskrit or Pali, in those days, but from the different school into Chinese. So Chinese have many resources there in terms of text, because the king in the past China until 8th century, they would support all these translation work. So we have a lot of early Buddhist texts. And then, however, the Buddhist Chinese, maybe the main philosophy influence them would be the two schools. One is called the Yogacara school, another one is called the Tathagata Garbha school. In other words, I mean, the Chinese philosophy always emphasis of the Tathagata Garbha school, even in Chen Buddhism, because they believe that from Bodhidharma, he is maybe what we understand from South India, but he came to China, and then he transmitted a different kind of Buddhist text. One is an important text called Lanka Avatara. That's interesting. Actually, Lanka means refer to Sri Lanka. It's a Mahayana text, but it said that the Buddha been to the Sri Lanka, called the Lanka Avatara, and he, from Sri Lanka, he imparted this Mahayana text. And that Mahayana text actually emphasizes on two things. One thing is about vegetarianism, and he thinks that the Buddha is vegetarian. You know that Buddha is not vegetarian, but somehow the Mahayana highly emphasizes on vegetarianism. But that is a part of it. He wants to prove that actually even the Buddha maybe in the life is not, but actually the Buddha didn't eat any meat at all. That is called from the Lanka Avatara. But another thing, the most important is about practice. The practice is Lanka Avatara, as well as the later infant whole Zen Buddhism, is about you have to understand everyone have the Buddha nature. That's called the Tathagata Garbha. It's argued that if by nature, if we don't have the Buddha nature, how can one become a Buddha? You see? So, and they argue that, so that's why if one can be a Buddha, I mean by nature they have the nature of Buddha. Then the question is, then why human are not a Buddha? So it say that it's just what you call, let's say that some material, you need to heat the material so that you can make up the pure iron. You need to heat it so that the ore, is it called ore, that the kind of iron become a pure iron because you need to heat. That's why you need all these kind of defilement, the bad thing will come out so that become pure. So yes, by nature we are Buddha, so we have to be able to, we must just have to be, practice and put away our defilement. Now, the main thing is that's why they encouraged as a Chinese Buddhism or the Zen, you have to able to see everybody like the Buddha to you. You have to learn how to respect everyone like the Buddha. And then if you're able to practice that, to see that everyone like the Buddha, so then you actually, your mind is a Buddha. Meaning, in other words, you have your mind no any discriminated mind at all. So we have hatred, we have problem, we have this and that. It's because we cannot regard this way, Firstly, we don't regard ourselves. The mind can be like a Buddha, and we cannot regard everyone. They also like a Buddha. So that's the very Zen of understanding, but actually that's originally from the Chinese Buddhism. And this kind of perspective definitely is not in Theravada, of course. That's one of the systems. Another system which is very different from Theravada is they believe in the eight consciousness. So, and what we call the alaya consciousness. It's alaya. So they believe that, let's say, how one store the karma, how one have this kind of the so-called, the consciousness ultimately can be transformed into the pure Buddha consciousness. It has to be something. So we in Theravada, we believe there was 6 consciousness only, like the eye consciousness, the nose consciousness, tongue, the ear consciousness, and the body consciousness, right? And the one is a mind consciousness, what we call the vijnana, the consciousness, the mind consciousness. You could just simply say mind consciousness. So, but then in Mahayana, and that's highly influenced Chinese Buddhism, is that you have to add 2 more consciousness. One is called manas consciousness. It means it is something like the switch. It always switch you to be either good thing or bad thing. So because you have that kind of switch. So, and that this switch is usually kind of problematic switch. It always loves to switch you in a bad thing. But switch it to, but then there you must have also the root consciousness. The root consciousness is called alaya consciousness. So it's to say that this is consciousness is by nature is like a Buddha, but this consciousness actually it also store every karma. So, which is they think that this is one thing about the Mahayana, but I want to say that it's definitely because of this they have add 2 more consciousness in the explanation. So it's one of the. It's usually is also a debate between the Theravada and the Mahayana. Okay. Another Mahayana I like to mention is Chinese Buddhism. I cannot. Hello. I cannot forget to mention it. I should not forget to mention is about nowadays because I guess it's China because of the lack of this kind of faith. It can anyone if you are not. Yeah. If you are not asking questions, that would be good to mute. Yeah. So I want to say is that another thing about Chinese Buddhism is certainly, especially the so-called popular Buddhism, is they chant a lot of Amitabha Buddha. Yeah, it's called the Pure Land School, and because somehow in Mahayana believe that the Buddha, even he attend Nirvana, you cannot say the Buddha is not exist. But of course, they also know you cannot say the Buddha exists because exist means you're still in the samsara, you're still in the reincarnation. They want to explain that even the Buddha attend the Buddhahood, he actually become more powerful. It's beyond the universe, beyond what we call this, the heavens and so forth. So then that is the beyond called the Buddha land. So that's beyond called Buddha land. And then, depending on how you look at it, of course, this it's become nowadays in China, that's a major religion, major thing. Because it's very similar to the theistic religion, so that if you pray the Buddha, or you meditate to the Buddha, because your mind is always associated to Buddha, so on the verge of dying, the Buddha will promise you to bring you to the Buddha land. So, and then they believe that when they bring you to the Buddha land, so in order to practice Buddhism, it's better than you learn from others because you learn directly from the Buddha. You say, so, and that is a very powerful kind of message to the Chinese Buddhism. That's why the Chinese usually, there's a pro and con, I would say. The pro is that that's how you develop a lot of Buddhists. Because, this kind of faith, without much explanation, without much effort about meditation and pen on the here and there, it's more attractive to a lot of people. So it's more like you believe in a God, and then you pray to the God, and then at the end, they will take you to the heavens. But this one is take you to the Buddha land, even bigger, better, So, and that's why the Amitabha Buddha, there are so many Buddha land, it's not just one, but Amitabha among, especially in this recent day, the Amitabha Buddha become the most popular. Actually, when the Buddhism transmitted to China in the early day, it wasn't Amitabha Buddha was the most popular. The most popular was Asopya Buddha in earlier time. Yeah, but during the time of the power struggle, transformation, and then Amitabha Buddha became the most popular. And then there was a time people were thinking, when you see the people, you need to address, right? How you address the people, they think, maybe the best to address them, Amitabha Buddha. So that's why nowadays if you meet these people, they Chinese or even Vietnamese, and they might be say, they meet you, they will close the palm to you, they say, Amitabha Buddha, Amitofo, Amitofo, like that. So that's become generally, that's a difference. In Theravada, like in Sri Lanka, so because it depends on what's your perspective, but certainly if you look at the texture wise, that's the earlier text that you could find nowadays because they exist before the Christ 300 years ago. But when you look at the Chinese Buddhist text, it would be translated even from second century. Yeah, if it compared to Christianity, it's so still very old. But unfortunately, it's because the Buddhism have older texts than in Pali. So, and then that's why the Sri Lanka think that, because we have the oldest text, and then we are directly from India, it was transmitted by basically the Arahant he was a son of the King Asoka. Imagine, even have a political power, and also he's an Arahant, and also because of the texts come earlier. So, start from Sri Lanka as a Theravada, they think their text is more pure in a certain sense. And then sometimes they think that, but the Sri Lanka Buddhism, as what we call nowadays, called Theravada Buddhism, the Theravada Buddhism usually are more emphasis on, they were practice mostly about meditation. They do culturally, they have culture. Like in Thai, they have a Thai culture, Sri Lanka have a Sri Lanka culture. But they do have their, they mostly, the monks are, let me put it this way. Generally, they are much more emphasis on the Vinaya, the monks' rule. They are more strict compared to the Mahayana. The Mahayana, Mahayana mean nowadays, the Chinese monk, there are lots of rules they don't have to follow. I guess they realized that earlier time because when the rules go to China, a lot of things, it's the dress different, everything is different. So, except the main rules still retain the same, but the other rules, they still the same when they have go ordained as a monk, they are the same, but then the way how they treat the rules are very different. Okay, so that's why that's something to do with the culture, also because of the time change as well. But Sri Lanka generally are still very, very care about the rules. And I don't know, everyone have a different point of view. I'm a foreigner to Sri Lanka. I sometimes think that that is not necessarily partly I agree, but I'm not, because as I say, I'm not Sri Lankan, so I cannot say them. But that's different, and the rules, the way I look at the rules is different. And the second is about the practice system is different, because they don't have this Amitabha Buddha there, so there's no such a thing, So even they meditate on the Buddha, they only meditate, they know there's a future Buddha, they also believe the future Buddha and past Buddhas, not just one Buddha, but many Buddhas. But still, their mind only just to mostly just worship or to understand as the Buddha we know, the Sakyamuni Buddha or the Gautama Buddha, right? And that's why there's no such a thing about worship so many different Buddha in all different universe. So they don't have that concept. And as I say, the practice system is mostly highly ended about meditation. So no such a thing, at least not that strong. I don't mean they don't have it, no such a strong, like a Chinese that believe the monk have to chant, all the time, and then the chanting, or they don't even have the culture about a mantra also, because in China they have a lot of mantra. So they don't have the mantra. Maybe yes, later on culturally they develop a certain thing called blessing chanting. They do have it in Theravada. In any Theravada country, they have a blessing. The chanting is for blessing, but less. Not like the Chinese thinking that the monk when you chant, that is a practice. It's a different thing. That you practice because by chanting, you just chant, and then by chanting, you do your duty already as a monk. Doing meditation or not necessarily important, but doing the chanting is a duty of the monk as a Chinese tradition. But for Theravada, I think so. Culturally, the chanting is so important because the lay people love the monk chanting. Am I right? Culturally, and then if you don't chant, and then maybe the the layperson will not going to support you because they are not doing the blessing for them. That's how and that's also because of the human nature needs. So I guess they changed a little bit of the system, but Chinese changed it in a very extreme way. Okay, a very very extreme way I would say. I use extreme in a complete other side, other side way. Philosophically, I think a lot of differences. But I want to say is that depends on what kind of Chinese text you learn. And nowadays in China, when I say in China, I mean all Chinese people. That doesn't mean China. Like in Taiwan, in Malaysia, there are a lot of Chinese people, even in America. So, and nowadays, there's no one system you could say they follow. Say. But if there's only one still so-called a Chinese Buddhism, if you want to say, if you say, no, you still want to ask me to say what it means Chinese Buddhism, yes, I guess nowadays still we think that Chinese Buddhism means if you chant Amitabha Buddha, it's a Chinese Buddhism. Or if you do Zen meditation, it's a Chinese Buddhism. But as a scholar, like in academic, or even as a Buddhist ministry at a Buddhist school in Taiwan, of course they won't think it that way, because they think that the Chinese Buddhism is anything that still mentioned in the Buddhist Chinese text can be considered as a Chinese Buddhism. So in other words, I mean nowadays a lot of young monks, especially young generation, because of the world now is open now, a lot of them they don't learn Amitabha Buddha. They don't like it. They actually all mostly learn from Theravada meditation. But then after when they learn the Theravada meditation, they need to explain their learning, because not only just from Pali, because language has become important, is because in Chinese text we don't, as I say, they don't have a Pali kind of text, so they also trying to find out what this Chinese text has been offered for the Chinese, even though they learn meditation from a Theravada. Well, I would say it means, yes, at least my friend I know, all my friends, either they go to a Tibetan Buddhism to learn, and then they want to later on revive a Chinese Buddhism. When I say revive, you have to understand, actually during the old time, Chinese Buddhism is always like that. You have so many different kind of practice. But it just because of the war and everything goes on, it only remains mostly the chanting. Because imagine when you are during the war, what can you do? You are not doing meditation. You cannot. It's a lot of war in China in the past. So that only retain. That what remains is the chanting about the Amitabha Buddha, or chanting about the Avalokitesvara, Guan Yin, Avalokitesvara, so like that. So. But now it's different. Either they are going to learn a lot from this Theravada Buddhism, or from meditation, or either they come to learn from Tibetan tradition. So of course some of them abandon their Chinese tradition and then just simply become a Theravada, or some simply become the Tibetan. But there are some also back to the Chinese, say that the monk group, they're same, but their mind, their teachings is all are very like a Stravakayana, so about the Arahantship. But then later some of them develop into this Arahantship, into how you practice the Bodhisattva like that. So did I talk too much anyway? We have a very little time left. I'm so happy to know that. See whether you have any question. So that would be great. What's the time? Let me see.
I was going to ask you about the Diamond Sutta, but we'll save that maybe for another day, because there's too much to say. I always find it very enlightening and helpful to chant and read the Dhamma Sutta. But what I want to ask is this: you have, I've always thought that when we practice Theravada Buddhism, we're adding information and we're adding practice. That is to say, we study the 5 skandhas or khandhas. We study the 4 Noble Truths and the 8 Noble Paths, and so on, the qualities of a Buddha. We have lists. And as we learn them and we contemplate them, we understand more and more. But in the Mahayana, I've always had the feeling that what we're doing is we're peeling off, we're peeling away. And that's kind of a difference, the difference between adding and peeling away.
Yeah, but I think if you look at the Mahayana Buddhist philosophy, definitely you have to. I mean, Mahayana, even among the Mahayana in Chinese system, it has to be a Mahayana is not easy. It's not just ideology, but it's not easy. And then you need to definitely understand well about the Four Noble Truths, Noble Eightfold Paths. All these five aggregates, it's all in the Mahayana. The thing it is, when a missionary, for some reason, because of, well, anyway, this is a complicated topic, but certainly, some people like to be more, become a more kind of, make it like, like a Christian in America, some people make a few statements that for those Americans feel like, oh, now I can do more business. I don't care whether I'm good or not. As far as I still believe in God, even morally I was wrong, but no problem because I can offer more money. The God will forgive me and the God will help me. The same thing in the Mahayana, and later on, unfortunately, all these important basic teachings, which is even same as the Theravada, they ignore that. They just want you to become more like, you just believe in Amitabha Buddha, yeah, you're fine. You just chant about the Amitabha Buddha, your life is enough, and the Buddha will forgive you. So, and this is really very appealing to the Chinese business mind. Chinese are very businessmen, and the Chinese people are very clever to do business. Everywhere you see Chinese, they are mostly, in Indonesia, rich people are Chinese. In Malaysia, the rich people are Chinese. They are very businessmen. So that kind of playing to the Buddha makes you forgiveness. Whatever you do, just as far as you just offer the thing to the Buddha, that's good. I mean, that's appealing, but that is not the really core philosophy of Mahayana. The Mahayana actually, you need to also understand, well practice, well five aggregates, the same thing as the Theravada. But only difference is that they don't want to be Arahant. It's believed that, philosophical belief that if you practice through a certain time, when you're about to become a Sotapanna, mean the first fruit, you have to learn how to stop become a Sotapanna. And then they have a technique way to teach you. From there, of course, the technique is very crucial. That means you need to think more about emptiness, the shunyata, not anicca, not dukkha, but more in the shunyata, so that your mind is not, transformed to become an arahant way of thinking, but you have become a bodhisattva way of thinking. So, and then also have a mahakaruna, meaning compassion to the people. So that's why, because you know that I don't mind how many reincarnations I still take place. I still want to help people, the most important thing. That's why then your mind would not be upset so that you become Sotapanna. You stay with like a sand, but you don't be a Sotapanna. And then this is how then from there onward, you need to practice the paramita. So have a more jhana, more powerful meditation, and also more equal mind to the people, have the dana, paramita to help everyone, no matter what they are, who they are, like that, even that you can, so the paramita is the main thing they practice. So that's actually the original Mahayana mind. But nowadays, the Chinese Mahayana is more like a theistic religion, like, oh, he's the most powerful Buddha, the one with most forgiveness for you. And it's, for those who are not have a deep philosophical mind, of course, love that, So, yeah, that's how when I learn Buddhism, that's how I learned that first. So, but the more I study, I find that, okay, sometimes it's religiously, it's very wonderful, and people feel touched. But it's also true, I want to say one story before ending to share to you. Why I become extreme also? Because when I was in France, I was treated, when I left Sri Lanka, the first place I lived in the West Europe was in France. I lived there 3 months the first time. So I was helping one of the Chinese temple to set up something because I'm a Cantonese original. So I was helping the Cantonese temple there in France, in Paris. So that people are very welcoming, even though I wear differently. Of course, that was a time they always ask me what text I chant, blah, blah, blah. But luckily, I still know how to perform the Chinese Chinese monk ritual. I learned it or before I become a monk, Theravada monk. So that's why they feel very happy because I could do those rituals, chanting, doing the ritual in a Chinese way. Now I want to say that it's that then a lot of people tell me they are quite rich in France. They used to be rich people, and during the war, they come from Laos, come from Cambodia, Laos Chinese, the Laos, but during the war, they have a communist war, and they need to flee away. Some of them told me that on the ship, during the time on the ship, so some people get like ill. The next day you will see these people disappear. In other words, they throw them because they don't want to be infected when they were escaping their life. So they would just die. And then one of the old lady told me she was sick. Of course, she cannot show there's any sign she was ill. Otherwise, she would have been killed. So she was only the face she heard at that time, being a Chinese, is Avalokitesvara. She only played Avalokitesvara, keep on praying and praying and praying and praying. And then anyway, one day she dreamt. She dreamt Avalokitesvara appear in her dream and just put out the water. If you look at Avalokitesvara, they usually Chinese, they have a kind of vase. With the vase, the water dropped down on her hair. And then she was killed. Not only that, she said there was a time even when she ran out of place. She don't know whether she should go to the left side or right side. So, and then she saw that the sky appeared Avalokitesvara, pointed her to go that side. And she believed that's why she can escape from being killed as well. So there were so many I cannot share with you. There are some other people tell me how during the time when she was even had no food to eat when she was running her life, and then how she will, because of faith, because she was praying to the Buddha, because they were praying that the Buddha, Avalokitesvara, how their life can be saved. A lot of so-called miracle things happened to them. So this is how it made me to recognize that, even though I was being trained as a Theravada monk, and I started to realize, sometimes we regard Buddhism, it depends how we regard Buddhism. If we regard Buddhism as a religion, I think anything that's been accepted in a religion, they find that how powerful the religion for them. But if you only regard that as just a practice, to be honest, at that time, who is talking about meditation? Nobody can. They just want to run for their life, you see. So, and then from that, I learned that we cannot just, as a monk, I'm talking as a Theravada, but I also talk that way. Maybe I influenced by the Chinese culture, but I need to say that, yes, I'm not the one who really highly emphasizes on those practices, but I never deny the importance of their existence, because when people in the war, and really difficult situation, that kind of faith is still very important for their life, you see. So, and this is why some of the Theravada maybe shifted a little bit. Some people have a discussion, say, oh, blah, blah, blah. I keep my mouth quiet because I think the life, if it being a powerful religion, like a Buddha, we know that sometimes the Buddha story, people believe in Buddha not because just a practice, not a philosophy, but sometimes they believe the Buddha, just know the Buddha is powerful. I think that is also a very important message sometimes too. We shouldn't fight each other for that kind of message. That's my conclusion about this talk. I hope you enjoyed this discussion. Yeah. But,
Yes, of course.
Please.
We're done. We're good.
Yeah.
We're done.
So what you do?
Just like end of the session.
I thought you do prayer.
Yeah,
You do it.
Okay.
Please, yeah.
Okay, so thank you so much, Bhante Dhammadeep. Today he's with us, and he guided for the meditation and explained Buddhist teaching, practice, and concepts and ideas in different cultural Buddhist practices. It was very clear to us, and every culture and every tradition have their own values and importance. So that was very clear to us, Bhante. Thank you so much for your explanation. and answering the questions and the guided for meditation, and we enjoy a lot. So thank you again, and just transfer merits to the departed ones and to the deities and ghosts, to all sentient beings. Share these merits. By sharing these merits, may they all be happy and live long. And you, Bhante, especially you, we wish you to be happy, healthy, and longevity, and to teach us and guide us for the meditation and practice Buddhism. So then transfer our merits to our parents and family members. May they all share these merits and be happy and live long, healthily. And finally, may we all be able to attain to enlightenment. Akasattha cha bhummatha deva naga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakantu sasanam chirang rakantu desanam chirang rakantu mangal parang sabbhitiyo vivajjantu sabbaloko vinasatu Mate bhavatvantarayo sukhi dekayuko bhavatu Bhavatu sabba mangalam rakantu sabba devata Sabba buddhanubhavena sabba dhammadubhavena sabba sanghanubhavena Sada Soti Bhavantu Te. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Thank you for all. Yeah.
Thank you, Bhante, and thank you, everyone.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Could you repeat the dates of the retreat?
September 15, 16, and 17.
Okay, okay.
Please sign up to the retreat by using our website link. You know our website, right? www.baus.org.
Actually, Tuesday maybe.
Okay, see you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Okay, bye-bye.
Okay. Okay. Now back to householding. Back to the householding.
Yeah, Michael, if you got a time to come here, if you have time.
I will. Let me talk to Elspeth, my wife, and get back to you, okay?
Yeah, it's not necessary and rush, and whenever if you have sometimes, just visit. If not, let me know, I will visit you. I can.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, good.
I drive now, I can drive over there.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you all my secrets.
Okay.
Okay? Okay.
Okay, then see you. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Because 2 or 3 years ago, you came and I quit my car. And there's a lot of collectors.
Okay, good. Thank you.